So before the closing of the studio because of the pandemic, I did a workshop on yoga for sleeping problems, and we made some essential oil mixes, blends to help. Because essential oils are really powerful. I found my own health has been really affected by the oils. I have some issues with thyroid and Graves' disease, and it's really been life-changing and very helpful for me. And also going through menopause, I've had problems sleeping at times, and as a flight attendant working different hours, and one month you're early morning, the next month you're late nights, and so it's hard to kind of get your circadian rhythm kind of even. It's been much better now that I haven't been flying, but we do still have at the studio some oil blends that one is a roll-on and also a mix of, it's a little like twice the size kind of thing, but not a roll. It's like a little dropper jar, I think it is. So if anyone's interested in that, we still have those for sale, but they're at the studio. We can arrange to get them to you somehow if you're interested in having problems, because I know a lot of times with stress, and even in the news they were saying a lot of people are having difficulties, mostly young people and women, with depression, anxiety, all sorts of things that are building up because of this isolation, this self-isolation. So this can really affect our breath and our sleep. So this is also the reason why my last few classes have been about really opening up our capacity to breathe more. And so if you're interested, you can just message me afterwards and I can give you more details on that. I was just thinking that because when I went to the studio the last time, I grabbed one for myself and I thought, oh, we still have all these. So, you know, this is also a nice option to use. And restorative yoga is a way of kind of reprogramming the patterns of our nervous system so that we can learn to, or relearn to relax. So this is like charging your cell phone for your body kind of thing. So this morning, the class, we're going to do a little bit of movement, and then we're going to settle into a guided relaxation. So the movement is all geared towards opening up the muscles of the shoulders and the upper back, and even a little bit of movement in through the hips, but there's a line of connective tissue, a fascial meridian, that runs from the outside of our knee right over the glutes, and it runs up our spine about halfway, and then it kind of branches out and goes right underneath all the ribs and connects right underneath the arm. So if we can release this kind of band, it kind of wraps around our upper back and our ribs. So that is also our ability to find breath. And our breath affects so much. It affects how our health, it affects our everything. So the most important thing is breath. Breath is life. We don't live very long without it. So, and to increase the capacity of our breath gives us more energy and life in our body. And so it can affect everything. So let's all come lying down on our backs. And you do have the option, if lying on your back doesn't feel good, if you'd like, you can stay in a chair. So you can have your legs straight, or you can have the knees bent. And this is a time, if you like, to put a pillow behind your knees, if you like, or a little bit of a blanket over top. So for the first bit, we're going to focus on our breath. And so wherever you are, you can either close your eyes or you can have the eyes open. But if the eyes are open, just let them be soft. So you're not really focusing on one thing in your room, you're looking at everything. Everything is coming in that periphery vision, and you're sort of absorbing everything around you in a soft way. And if your eyes are closed, just pay particular attention to letting the eyes soften as well, almost as if they sink back into the socket. And then take a moment to self-correct if you need to become a little bit more comfortable. So you're not stuck right where you land. You can move and shift and adjust, and then allow the weight to settle. And it's through awareness that is the vehicle of change. It's through the watching. So just become aware of the weight of the head, your shoulders, your hips, your legs, your arms, and just all these parts of the body that connect and touch the earth. Just feel them become heavy, as if you're letting the earth hold you. And this can be even done in a chair. So if you're sitting in a chair, just let the weight drop. And there's something about this connection and dropping, of surrendering, that lets the body become light. So feel the lightness in the body. Almost these two opposing energies of drawing down and lifting up at the same time. And then bring attention to your breath. And just notice how you feel when you're breathing. Can you feel the breath moving in parts of your body? And if we don't feel it, it's okay. It's not that we're not moving when we breathe. It's just a subtle way of observing. And the more we practice this quiet practice, the more we feel. And then notice the pause between the inhale and the exhale. And the exhale into the inhale. And when we break it down, we can see the breath is actually in 4 parts. We have the inhalation, a slight pause, the exhalation, and then another pause before we inhale. What I'd like you to do this morning is focus on trying to shorten these pauses between the breath so that you get a sense of the breath being fluid, like the inhale just falls right into the exhale, and the exhale comes right into the inhale without a pause. Almost like you're creating this circle. Let the breath be very subtle and gentle. And let it just flow right from one to the other. Watch as the breath becomes more soft, very, very subtle. And continue letting it flow evenly and smoothly from the inhale to the out breath, from the out breath to the in breath. As our breath becomes more soft and smooth, it's like the reflection of a lake without any ripples, very clear. And the mind, the vritti, the thoughts, the fluctuations become more smooth. So when the body is relaxed, the mind will follow. And these are times of self-reflection, of thinking of what is important in life. So you can ask yourself in your mind's eye, what is important to me? And who am I grateful for in my life? And what can I do for other people? What can I do for the people I love to make their life better? And again, bringing attention to our breath and allowing that breath now to grow. Let it be very gentle and subtle, but let the movement start to expand now as you inhale, feeling the whole body starting to open up a little bit more in all directions. The front, the sides, the back, up, down. And as you exhale, again, that sense of surrender, of dropping down, of connecting to earth. Inhale again, maybe we expand a little bit more, like we're slowly filling up a balloon without forcing it to make it pop. And as the breath starts to grow with each breath cycle, noticing in our body if there are any areas of tightness. So notice in your ribs or your belly or your shoulders, your back, do you find areas that are moving more freely and some areas that maybe are a little bit tight? And just become aware of these areas. And then when you feel ready, you can slowly bend your knees and roll to your side. And just take a moment and stay on your side for a moment to just become aware of how you feel compared to how you felt at the beginning of the class. Really just a few minutes of what we call pranayama or breathing exercises. In yoga, it affects us. It really is immediate. It's so fascinating to me. And then just take a moment and slowly come sitting up. I'm just going to take off the top shirt just because I want to show you the movements first, because there's a lot of talking and I want you to be able to see what I'm doing, and then I'll guide you through it as well. So those of you that are following by phone, I'll do my best to verbalize it enough that you can understand. And some of you that have been in my classes before have done the shoulder stretches, so you already know kind of what's happening. So these exercises are from gentle somatic yoga, and our soma is our body. So we are repatterning our body. We're teaching it how to let go of the stress and tension that we hold. So we're going to do these shoulder circles, is what we call them. So when you come lying on your side, you can put a pillow or maybe your folded blanket underneath your head for support so that your spine is in alignment. And you can just watch me first. And then your legs are stacked. So the knees are on top of each other and the feet are on top of each other as well. And it's almost like you're sitting in a chair. So the feet aren't tucked in. They're out a little bit so that it's a bit of an angle. We'll take the top arm and it'll stay resting on your top hip. And we're going to focus the attention on the shoulder. So the first movement is we're going to take the shoulder back. We're rolling the shoulder back, and it's like you're squeezing the shoulder blade towards the spine. And you're really creating this tension, and then you're going to come back and let it relax. And you're watching everything. So you can do this even in a chair. I'm going to roll so that you can see a different angle. So this top shoulder rolls back, you're squeezing, this top hand can open up a little bit, you're squeezing the shoulder blade towards the spine, and then you come back and let it relax. The second movement, the shoulder will come forward. So the shoulder draws forward and you're squeezing like you're drawing the shoulder blade down towards the floor or your sternum, and the hand can rotate a little bit forward so the whole arm rotates forward. You squeeze, you engage, and then you come back and relax. So we'll do that 3 times. And then the next movement is the shoulder moves towards the ear. So this comes in a couple parts. So first the shoulder moves up towards the ear. Then if it feels okay in this neck, you're going to lift the ear towards the shoulder and really squeeze. Then the head comes down, and then you release the shoulder and relax. So that's the third movement. And then the fourth, the head stays down, and we start to reach the arm away from us. So the head stays down, we feel this length through the whole arm, right, the neck, right through the fingertips, and then you relax. And then after we do that, those 4 movements, we're going to do a circle. So we'll bring the shoulder up, back, down, and forward. Create these big circles. Okay, so come lying on your back. So maybe let's all start on our right side. So if you can lie on your left and have your right side up. And if you're sitting in a chair, you can do these movements in a chair as well. It's just a different experience, but you can still focus on engaging and letting go. And it's really in watching that letting go, and when you feel everything releasing, is you're repatterning these areas of our body that sometimes have chronic tension, and they forgot how to let go. So we carry these tight muscles all the time because that feels like the way it's supposed to be, and really it's not. Okay, so just take a moment and arrive. Have your knees on top of your bottom knee and your feet stacked on top of each other, and your top arm is resting on your top hip. Okay, good. All right, and then again, if you need support underneath the head, you can do that, or you can just use your arm if you don't have the support. Okay, so taking your right shoulder now, and we're going to rotate that shoulder back so that you're opening up the front body, you're squeezing that shoulder blade towards the spine. That arm might open up a little bit, squeeze, 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 and then come back to neutral and relax completely. Feel everything relax. And then you take the shoulder back again, maybe a slightly different way. That's it. Squeeze. I see you, Nicole. Good job. Squeeze, 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 and then come back and release. Notice what it feels like to let go. Feel the little tiny sensations. And one more time, let that shoulder roll back again, maybe a slightly different way. You might feel a little knot you're squeezing into. We're going to melt that knot, squeeze it. And then come back and relax completely. Reconnect to breath. Let everything relax. So these pauses between are just as important as the movement. And now we're taking that shoulder forward. So you're drawing that shoulder forward like you're trying to touch the ground with that shoulder, squeezing that shoulder forward. That's it. And then come back and relax. Let that shoulder come forward again. Squeeze it forward, maybe a slightly different way. And then come back and relax. Breathe. And again, take that shoulder forward. You're squeezing the shoulder like you're trying to touch your sternum, the center of your chest. Squeeze. And then release. Feel everything melt. Okay, now we bring the shoulder to the ear first. So draw the shoulder up towards the ear. If it feels okay, the head lifts off the floor or your pillow. Squeeze the ear towards the shoulder. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Let the head come down first. Then release the shoulder and let everything relax. Take that shoulder again towards the ear, maybe a slightly different way. If it feels okay, lift the ear towards the shoulder. Squeeze. Release the head first, and then release the arm and relax. So I encourage you, if you can, practice this with your eyes closed, then you maybe feel more from the inside. Let the shoulder move up to the ear one more time. The ear and the head come up towards the shoulder. We're squeezing, releasing the head, and then release the shoulder. Let everything relax. Reconnect to breath. Feel all the little subtle movements and vibrations that are happening in your shoulder as you feel the release. Okay, now you're going to take your fingers and they're kind of pointed in the same direction of your feet, and you're going to reach like you're trying to touch the wall past your feet, and you feel the stretch, that length from the head all the way down your arm, right through the fingertips, and release and relax. So if you're sitting in a chair, your arm might be out a little bit. And again, head stays down. We start to reach and extend, maybe feel what it feels like to reach through the pinky finger maybe, or through the thumb, and feel all these meridians of our fascial web in our body, how they connect. And then let everything relax. And then again, take that arm and reach it away. Don't forget to breathe. So if you're holding your breath, do a little bit less. You want to feel a bit of engagement, but not too much. Okay, then come back and relax. Okay, now we're going to take the shoulder into circles. So first we move the shoulder up towards the ear. The head stays down. Let the shoulder roll back towards the spine. Let it roll over towards the hips and then forward. So you're creating a great big circle, and just continue at your own pace, noticing if there are any areas where you feel kind of jerking or clicking or grinding. And these might be areas where there is a bit of amnesia in our system, where sometimes the body just shuts down because of stress or because of injury, and it's a way of protecting itself, but then it gets stuck there. So we're just waking up. Okay, and then just pause. We're going to take those circles in the opposite direction. So bring the shoulder up towards the ear, let it roll forward, down towards the hips, and then back. Nice big circles. And it's interesting to me how different it feels when you roll the shoulder in the different way. Same shoulder, but it feels so different. Good. And then come back and relax. Let's find our breath. Notice any sensations. How is your body responding to these movements? And then staying on our side, let's just take that same arm up in the air. Let the arm relax. So it's almost as if you're a puppet and your arm is being held by a string. Let the weight of the arm rest into the shoulder. And then just take that arm and create little circles. So right from the shoulder socket, you're creating little circles. And you can choose how fast or slow your circles need to be, and also how big or small. But let them feel good. So really paying attention to what does my body need right now? What would be the best thing for me? And then let those circles move in the opposite direction. This is meant as a release and to bring fluid into our shoulder. So we created a release. Now we're trying to create a bit of fluidity in our shoulder and our arm. And then let that arm come down. And we're just going to open up the top shoulder now. So it's like we're coming into a little bit of a twist. So you're going to take that right shoulder back a little bit so that you can come into a little bit of a twist. So you're on your head, and you might need to move a bit of support if you have a big blanket or bolster underneath your head. You might feel more comfortable just moving that a little bit off to the side and having your head on the floor. So now I want you to bring attention to your top hip. And what we're going to do is take that right hip, and you're going to move the right hip towards the knee and then slide it back to where it was. So it's a very subtle movement, maybe a couple of inches, where that right hip moves. It just slides a little bit towards the knee and back. And we're just going to do that on our own, sliding that knee forward and back. And you'll notice the connection and how it's kind of moving from the torso. So we're moving the hip, but you really feel how just movements in our hip and our legs really connect into our back and into our shoulders, how everything is connected. So sometimes where we feel pain, it might not be where we think it is. It might be somewhere else. So we have to consider moving and healing the whole body. Okay, just a couple more little hip slides to help release our back and our sides. And then when you're ready, slowly bring that arm back over and then roll onto your backs for a moment. You can bend the knees and just become aware of your sensations and what you feel like. So just take a moment, close your eyes, and notice the touch of the body on the floor. And notice if it feels different from the left side to the right. What do your shoulders feel like? And if you're sitting in a chair, you can just become aware again. Does my left shoulder feel different than my right? What does it feel like to breathe? Does it feel any different from the left side to the right? And then when you're ready, you can slowly make your way onto the opposite side. So rolling over to your left side. Again, so shifting support underneath your head if you need it. Or you can use your arm. Stack your knees and the feet so the feet come out a little bit like you're sitting in a chair. And your top arm is resting on top of your hip. And just take a moment to arrive on this side and just settle, reconnect to your breath. Always this self-inquiry. And again, with that top shoulder, we're going to start to roll that shoulder back towards the spine, and we're squeezing, creating that tension, and then coming back and release. So if you have shoulder problems
and many of us do, like frozen shoulder, all sorts of things. You don't have to be big in your movements. They might be very, very small. That might be where you are today, and that's okay. Take that shoulder back again, squeeze, and then come back and feel the release. We have to meet our bodies where we are today in this moment. So it doesn't matter how big or small. What matters is what it feels like in your own body. Take that shoulder back one more time. Maybe a slightly different way. Squeeze. And then release. Find your breath. And now that shoulder comes forward, rolling the shoulder forward. The whole arm can rotate. Squeezing that shoulder forward. That's it, Nicole. Beautiful. And then let that shoulder come back and relax. Again, let that shoulder come forward. Squeezing a slightly different way. Notice, does it feel different than the other side? Do you hold more tension on this side? And then let that shoulder come back and release. Feel the letting go. And then again, bring that shoulder forward. Squeeze. Finding all these little areas by slightly moving different way that we might be holding in a different position, and we're trying to get all of them, and then come back and release. Okay, our third movement, the shoulder moves to the ear, then the head meets the shoulder, we're squeezing. Let the head come down and then release the shoulder. And again, you don't have to lift the head if you have problems with the neck. Shoulder moves to the ear, maybe a slightly different way. Lift the head to meet the shoulder, squeeze. Releasing the head, releasing the shoulder, and relax. Let everything go. This is a good one if you ever sleep wrong. You know, sometimes you get those kinks in your neck and you just can't get rid of it for the whole day. This exercise really melts that. I've had this before and it just takes it away. It's amazing. Okay, one more time. Bring the shoulder to the ear. Lift the ear towards the shoulder. Squeeze. Then releasing the head and releasing the arm and relax. Pause. Okay, now the head stays down. We start to reach the arm away from the head. So we're reaching it over the shoulder, over the hip, towards our feet, reaching, lengthening, that's it. And then relax. Again, let that motion grow, let that arm extend, explore what it feels like to reach through different fingers, or maybe all of the fingers and the thumb. And then come back and relax. One more time. Really letting it grow. I like that word, grow, more than stretch. You should feel like you're growing, you're becoming longer, opening. And then come back and relax. Let everything soften, feel the vibration. Now we're moving into our circles. So bring the shoulder towards the ear. Let the shoulder move back towards the spine, then down towards the hips and forward. Nice big shoulder circles. Take your time. Eyes can be closed and notice everything that you're feeling. Notice every little movement. Does it feel different than the other side? Does it feel more open or tighter? And then let your shoulders gently go in the opposite direction. So the shoulder moves to the ear, it moves forward, down, and back. Nice big circles, just like our breath, that circle breath. One movement just flows right into the other. And then come back to pausing and relaxing. Feel everything let go. Take the arm up in the air. Again, let the weight of the arm sink into the shoulder. And then slowly take the arm into circles. So when we move into circles, be mindful that you're not starting to engage the muscles. We want the movement and the fascia sliding and gliding. We don't want the muscles tightening up and stopping the fascia from sliding. All these layers of our connective tissue gliding, that's what we want. We want gliding and fluid body. We don't want tension. So if the muscles are being used, do less. Maybe your movement's really micro. Or let those circles go in the opposite direction when you're ready. Are you breathing? And then when you're ready, lower the arm down. Again, we're going to move into that little bit of a twist. So you can move your bolster if you have one, and then rotate this top shoulder so that you're coming into a little bit of a twist in the upper body. And your hand can your top hand can rest on your ribs and your elbow on the floor. The focus is on your top hip. You're going to slide the hip towards the knees, and then we're going to slide the hip back. So it's this maybe a couple of inches that you move, sliding the hip. You should feel a bit of a stretch and opening into the back and into the hips a little bit. So just continue sliding and noticing what you feel. Noticing if you're tight anywhere, do a little bit less. Again, we're trying to create a fluid body here. We're trying to create space. The more space we create, the more we have room for breath. Okay, one more, sliding that hip forward and back. Pause. And then again, when you're ready, slowly come back to lying on your backs. Let your knees be bent. Let your arms come to your sides. Just pause for a moment. Arrive in the center and just notice what you notice. How does your body touch the floor? What does it feel like to breathe? Any tension in the shoulders, the upper chest and upper back, restrict and hold our breath in. And we do feel when we focus on our breath, a lot of movement into the upper chest and back and shoulders. So it's really good to release a lot of that tension to get more breath in. Okay, so now we're going to get ready for our Shavasana, our final relaxation. So if you want, you can just take a moment and gather whatever you need. So if you want to put a pillow under your knees or a blanket over top. Put my little sweatshirt on again. And again, if you're sitting in a chair, just making sure that you're comfortable. Maybe you put a little bit of height underneath your feet so that your knees feel okay. And again, if you're lying on the floor, take a moment to do a scan of the body and just do any little self-adjustments before you can settle into a very comfortable position. And it's important to keep the heat in the body. Even moving like this, we started to build a little bit of heat in our bodies, even though the movements were very gentle. By
moving, these layers inside start gliding, and it's creating friction and heat in our bodies. So this is also helping to melt some of our fascia that's been kind of tight. So as we relax, we start to cool. So keep a blanket or socks on and stay warm. Okay, and then again, just like we did at the beginning of class, just noticing the touch of the body on the floor. If you're sitting, let the weight drop down and feel the connection to your seat. That rebound force that lifts you up. So again, as we connect to earth and we let gravity draw us down, we feel this opposite action of lifting, of spaciousness, of lightness. Allow the eyes to soften. Your jaw, your tongue. All the muscles of the face. We're going to look younger when we leave this morning's class. I think all those wrinkles just melt away. Feel the skin on your head. The whole head is soft and relaxed. And letting the front brain just rest into the back brain. We're often thinking of the future, what's coming up, what can we do, where can we go, what's going to happen. But right now, it's a practice of letting that sink back and just be present. And the more we can practice this presence in our body, the more we can handle anything that comes in the future. Notice the neck soften, and the throat. And just by bringing attention, it's like it opens up. It's really interesting. Feel the shoulders relax completely. All the work we did this morning, releasing the shoulders, so let them completely, layer by layer, all the way to the deepest part of the inside of your body, is letting go. As if everything is kind of shifted back into its rightful place. Now it can rest. Feel the upper back touching the floor. Your low back, your middle back. Feel the heart center in both the back body and the front. Let it become soft. Let your belly soften. Often we hold tension, we don't even know this little hidden tension. So let the belly soften completely. The low belly, the hips. Take a moment to watch the hips relax. From the inside out. Your legs to the knees. The backs of the knees, the fronts of the knees relax. And then become aware of the sensations in your lower legs, your shins and your calves, and let those relax. Your ankles, your feet. Feel the bottoms of your feet, the tops of your feet, the toes, the tips of the fingers,
palms of the hands, the whole body, is completely fluid and open. Become aware of the space between your body and the floor. That thin plane of existence between the body and the floor. It's not the body and it's not the floor, it's that thin plane of existence between. Feel the space between the lips, the upper and the lower. That space between. The space between the eyelids, the upper and the lower eyelids, they're closed, they're touching, but there's this tiny space between. Feel the space between the body and the floor, the lips, and the eyelids. And then again, bring attention to your breath. That very subtle breath without effort. Let it become softer and softer. Allowing that inhale to merge with the exhale. And the exhale into the inhale. To create this circle of breath that never ends. It just flows effortless from one to the other without a pause. One breath. Stay focused on the breath. You can visualize, if you like, a golden circle. And as you breathe, you watch that circle as if you're drawing a line around that circle, letting the breath be as effortless and smooth as this golden circle. Stay focused on the breath, watching this golden circle. Now visualize a golden egg. See this golden egg. And imagine it's inside your head.
few inches behind the space between the brows. A little golden egg. Feel it. Go into it. Visualize a little golden egg. In the center of your head. Feel it. You are this golden egg. Now imagine that you're at a party and you're surrounded by people, by friends. You hear them talking and laughing. Imagine you're looking in a mirror. What do you look like? Can you see yourself? Imagine you're on the top of a mountain. You feel the cool air touching your skin. You feel alive. Feel the connection to the space. Feel the space around you, infinite space. You're part of this space. That space is inside of you. Go inside and feel the space inside your body. The universe inside. Now become aware of your breath. Slowly start to feel the breath in your body. Gently begin to deepen the breath. And as the breath starts to deepen, notice the expression of your own breath. Notice the movement of your own breath. And let your breath move you. Let it grow into some sort of gentle movements. And maybe that's just a bigger expression of breath. Notice how the breath moves you. Let the breath continue to deepen, bringing in more energy, more life. It's like a superhero power. And the breath can continue to grow, and if you like, you can play with a holding of the breath as you inhale. Maybe that breath pauses now, and instead of letting go of the pauses, we let the pause lengthen before we let that breath out. So we hold a little energy in, only if it feels comfortable. And then let go of the controlling of the breath. Come back to your natural breath. And when you feel ready, before you move anymore, you can softly open your eyes and just become aware of your surroundings. Again, with a soft gaze, take in everything around you, the ceiling, the walls, the furniture, maybe even the people or animals. Take it all in. And then in your own time, you can gently bend your knees and roll to the left or the right, coming into a fetal position. Take your time. And when we come out of a meditation, we shouldn't just rush into life. We should take it slow. And maybe we can learn from this as we move, hopefully one day, from our isolation into the world. How can we come at this in a gentle, slow way to give back to Mother Earth? And when you are ready, you can slowly find your way to a seated position. That might be in a chair, it might be with the legs crossed or open. You might sit on some support. Once we arrive in our seated position, allowing one more time the eyes to close. Let the body relax and offer the weight down. And as we offer the weight down, we feel this rebound force up through the top of the head. That space. Again, these two opposing directions of connecting down to gravity, to earth, and to space. Feel the space around you, the touch of the air on your skin. And the movement of air inside as you breathe. Let's bring our hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra, bowing down to our practice this morning. It is my honor and pleasure to practice with you and share this beautiful restorative practice. Thank you so much for joining me. Namaste.